today's video, I'm going to do a thing I don't normally do. I'm going to talk mainly off the cuff with almost no script at all and talk generally about where I'm at with Unverses Beyond. The reason I'm doing this is because I've got these with me. I've got all 4 of them and I want to open them. These were hashtag sponsored to an extent. I recently did a thing with Wizards where I went out and played the decks with some Doctor Who fans as a promo thing, and they sent me these. I'm planning, so you know what I'm doing with these, because I think it's interesting. I'm going to put all 4 of these sleeved up today, and I'm taking to my games to play pre-cons, and I'm never getting changed. I've got all 4 of the command decks from Warhammer in the same shape as well, and I'm going to do it for every Unverses Beyond entry into Magic and have them in multiple boxes, so we can play a real smash-up of all of what is not Magic. Now, a lot of people really don't like Unverses Beyond. Other people have come to accept it, and other people love it. I'm kind of a mixture of the latter two. We'll talk about that as we go. If you're looking to pick up single product or sealed, like the decks or the collector boosters, you can check out the link to coolstuffinc.com in the link description below for 5% off your order to help support the show by using that link or the code KENOBI at checkout. And beyond that, if you want to see some collector boosters opened up as well, I've just done a video on that, which should be up on the channel either today, well, before this one, or tomorrow after this one. Let's just get these open and you can see what's inside these and how they look. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise on my mic. I think the Plane Chase addition to Doctor Who is actually fucking incredible. Like, I think that's a really cool way of representing how the TARDIS and the people inside the Doctor and their companions have moved between basically dimensions rarely, I guess, or not. I don't know that much about Who, but places and times and shit. I think that's really, really cool and really just like, it's kind of obvious when you say it out loud, but I mean, if someone told me they were going to do a Doctor Who set, I wouldn't have immediately thought, well, that's definitely going to be Plane Chase. But as soon as they said it's going to be Plane Chase, I was like, absolutely stellar. There's no way they couldn't do that. You get a lot of cardboard packaging, you get the typical cardboard box that would never be able to hold your deck so you sleeve it. You get a live countdown thing with the Doctors on it, which is kind of cool. I quite like these, even though, again, they get frayed easily. I think explaining how your deck works and how Plane Chase works, which I think is rather cool as well. It's so cool that it's probably going in the bin now, which is really sad, actually, when you think about it. There are these tokens that have, like, TARDISes on them in foil, and there's these tokens here with the Planeswalker symbol for Magic too. So Magic is still in here, even if you guys, some of you do believe that Magic is no longer Magic. In this envelope, we have some planes. We have like 10? I think we have more. Tell me in the comment section if I'm wrong on that. I think we have more than we had for the actual Plane Chase command decks for normal Magic recent. And Plane Chase dice as well. And then the other bit that's really exciting, because I'm quite into this, is these foils that we can get. This Collector Booster sample pack, which is going to be 2 cards that are like they are in the Collector Boosters. I assume the serialized cards aren't available in here. Does it say that on here at all? It has nothing about serialized odds, so I'm going to assume serialized is off the table for these samplers. For this pack, we got a Secret Lair advert, a Danny Pink in Extended Border, and a Nanogene Conversion Extended Border foil. Pretty good card. The planes that are in this deck are as follows. These are all retro Who-inspired 60s. The Pyramid of Mars, Caught in a Parallel Universe, Garden of Tranquil Repose, the Secretox Mines, the Coal Hill School, Unit Headquarters, Cheetah Planet, Antarctic Research Base, Cave of Skulls, and the TARDIS Bay. It's pretty cool. Also being the TARDIS of the 4th Doctor, I believe. Now, something that's interesting that's happened around this is that I've got more into Who because of this. I've watched some 4th Doctor because I plan on building him. I've watched all of the 9th Doctor. I'm partially into the 10th Doctor. I'm now starting to spot things on the cards and be able to tell the audience what we're looking at when they don't know, which is something, if you've watched my preview videos, wasn't happening before. Yeah, I'm kind of just into Doctor Who now, and I never thought that'd be the case. Like, Prof tried to get me into it by making me watch the Girl in the Fireplace previously. There's some foils of our commanders here. Oh, there's a foil thick 10th Doctor there as well. I was wondering where that got to. And then we've got all the other cards. I'm just going to go through as we talk. So, yeah, Doctor Who. I'm actually into it. And it's not really forced or anything. It's like Doctor Who's always been a thing I've always wanted to be into, as it being British science fiction. So the fact that, like, Magic was like, well, we're going to do a crossover with it that might entice you into it, with Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile themed around things from, you know, classic and contemporary Who that might make you just want to have a little look. We're currently going through, by the way, we had a few cards that are new, with like Displaced Dinosaurs being one of the really exciting ones. And then we've got a lot of reprints here. Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Return to Dust, Explore, 3 Visits, and so on. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Talisman of Unity, Hero's Blade. These are all Magic cards reskinned to be new Who stuff. Only just under half the cards, or around half the cards are. There's about 200 new cards, 50 per deck. It's a lot. So that's one thing we can talk about. It's a lot of new cards. And like, if you told me that ahead of time, I'd be like, that's too many. We really need to peel that back. We can't make that many new cards. Magic gets too many new cards as it is before we start doing that. But then the Warhammer decks changed my perspective. This is something I wanted to talk about, is that we can all change our perspectives. In some ways, I'm so glad they went Warhammer into Doctor Who decks, because I probably would have been a bit of a salty bitch about Doctor Who initially before seeing how good the designs are, right? But like, Warhammer convinced me. It showed me how much they cared about getting the source material correct and right. It showed me how well they can apply the top-down design ethos. So the idea that you take a concept like a Space Marine and then you figure out what would that look like within Magic by getting flavor first and designing downwards, top-down. We saw that with Innistrad and other sets where it became very popular to do this because the community responds to it very well. It resonates with us. So they can do that for other IPs. Magic is a very good rule set for evoking the feeling, the story, the narrative, like the saga. It's another favourite part of all of this. The sagas are telling entire episodes. This is a web episode for the Eighth Doctor, when we had to find out how he regenerated into the War Doctor. Yes, I've watched too much Who in the last week or so. Trial of the Time, I haven't seen this yet, but these are all episodes, and each pip evokes a story beat or part of the plot of that episode. And I think that's just a wonderful way to utilise the design of Magic to evoke TV shows. I don't know, I love it. I think it's really cute and really interesting. I'm probably building a K9 while we're on this point with the War Doctor. I was going to be Martha, but people on Twitter were quick to point out that K9 is both cheaper and still gives him unblockable, so I'm super into that. And like, the War Doctor is not only like provocative, the War Doctor, that makes me want to know more, but the design of it is so interesting compared to other Boros commanders. It's not like an equipment matters or go to combat matters. Well, he goes to combat, so he has something that fits him in the colour pie. It's not colour pie break. But the War Doctor, if you don't know, cares about exiling and phasing things out, and thus is such an interesting commander for a Boros colour identity. It's like they're doing solid work within the confines of Magic, but they're also they're doing solid work within the confines of making Doctor Who Magic, but also what they do for the wider game of Magic is also just solid. Like, I love this stuff. I really, really do. And I'm excited now, even more so than I was, to see what they do with Fallout. Another intellectual property that I absolutely love. 500 Year Diary, by the way. I talked about it in one of the previous videos, but it's a clue itself. It is a clue, and it taps to draw a card, second draw a card, but it taps that blue for each clue you control. It's like a mini Tolarian Academy. I'm super into this. So where was I? What was I talking about? I lost myself there thinking about clues. Oh, that's it. Okay, so Assassin's Creed, I doubt I'll get that into. I'll be excited to see what they do with the cards and the design space as such, but like, Assassin's Creed is something that, I love the first one, by the way. I think the first Assassin's Creed was a phenomenal game at its time for being such an interesting intellectual property when the video games environment in general, it just felt stagnant, right? To see things like Mass Effect and Assassin's Creed come out as like new intellectual properties was really exciting. And then Ubisoft obviously branded it to the point that now there's 1,000 games. It's less interesting. But like, I'm not upset about Assassin's Creed. I think it's an interesting property for Magic to go into because they can explore different time periods through it in a way, I guess. But yeah, I'm not that excited. Fallout, on the other hand, which is another Unverses Beyond Commander product like this, that gets me very excited because I fucking love Fallout. And this one brings me to my first point that I really want to make in this video, is talking about how I was really cold on Unverses Beyond originally. I originally thought that Unverses Beyond was going to be dog shit. The first ever instance of it we got, of course, was Godzilla skins. Fine. I can put up skins for things I don't care about. It made me a little bit more interested in Godzilla, but not that much. And then we got the Walking Dead Secret Lair, which I think is one of the biggest blunders Games Workshop, then something about Warhammer as well. One of the biggest blunders that Wizards of the Coast have ever made in their entire career, or at least with Magic in the last 30 years, of saying to us, do you want like pseudo-realistic depictions of actors in a zombie franchise that looks like it's over the hill unless you're an entrenched player, an entrenched watcher of it? How is that the first thing to lead to? Isn't that insane? If they'd led more with more D&D to an extent, and then like Lord of the Rings and even Warhammer prior to Walking Dead, they would have had all of us on board a lot earlier. Walking Dead was such a shock to the system, such a brutal, sorry, I'm stopping because, where are we? Where's our, I mean, some of these are pretty good. Canopy Vista's not a terrible land to reprint, but where are we? We've got like Celestial Colonnade's a pretty interesting one, the creature land. Glacial Fortress is solid. Horizon Canopy, there we go, and Warlock Grove, there we go. 2 lands that are premium priced in this mana base. Some people are thinking it's to lure Magic players in, but I think it's a sign of things to come. Anyway, starting with The Walking Dead was such an unbelievable fucking blunder from Wizards of the Coast. It just makes me laugh. Like, whose idea was it to continue or begin with Walking Dead? I also just want to highlight how much I love these lands. Titus is especially this particular plains. You're going to hear me say this a lot, but I know the Bad Wolf Bay that is meant to be is like in Denmark or somewhere, maybe Finland. somewhere in Europe. I voted out of the EU for this very reason. I didn't vote out of the EU. It still reminds me of like beaches I've been to in the UK, and this is very much like my country land that is around me at the moment. I'm quite a rural Englishman. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. Seeing myself represented as an Englishman without it being white van men voting for Conservatives. Oh, it's lovely. On to the villains deck now with City of the Daleks, the Moon Base, Dalek Intensive Care, Bowie Base 1. Is that named after David Bowie? Huh. The Doctor's Tomb, the A-Plan Mortarium, Unleash the Flux, The Matrix of Time, Hotel of Fears, and Mondasian Colony Ship. I don't know any of these locations. I've not been in any of the episodes that I've watched, of the 15 or so I've watched this week. And then our little preview of collector boosters, which is very difficult to open if I'm honest about bending the cards. Sorry, I had to concentrate there instead of talking. I can't multitask very well. Foil extended bordered Jamie McCrimmon and a foil extended bordered Ace Baseball Bat. They feel very slippery compared to the other collector booster stuff I've opened, which is interesting, but neither of those are very exciting if I'm honest. Anyway, so the fortnightfication of Magic. This will be a video that I'm going to do soon, like a full in-depth one, talking about this process, this concept, this idea within popular culture in general, and of course in Magic. And I don't think it's fair to describe the use of intellectual properties within the Unverses Beyond as fortnightfication. Like, fortnightfication to me is a bankrupt or struggling property going out of its way to lean on just spiritless and lacking in depth crossovers, or crossovers that lack in depth, to prop itself up. So in the case of Fortnite, it was struggling, it was failing as a co-op horde shooter. The Battle Royale lifted off, and then on top of that, because it was so successful, they could just plumb the depths of depravity to an extent. I'm joking, I like Fortnite, but they could plumb the depths of popular culture to do collabs with everyone. There are very surface level collabs. Characters from Transformers just doing a floss dance isn't really an in-depth character study of Optimus Prime, is it? It isn't creating 4 interlocking decks that play within the confines of your game system, but then allow you to explore retro nostalgia as well as recent stuff and give it a mechanical identity that fits its flavour and theme. No. Fortnite instead makes you floss as, I don't know, the Pennywise the Clown over the memoriam of fucking Martin Luther King. You think I'm making that bit up? It wasn't Pennywise. I think it was like Rick Sanchez or whatever from Rick and Morty, but that's a thing that was happening. Anyway, my point is, fortnightfication to me, or at least as far as I understand it, is more of a shallow way of crossing over. Like Marvel vs. Capcom and Super Smash Bros. Are the 2 games I'm going to bring up in the full video, where I talk about how those aren't the fortnightfication of Magic. I hope I'm not going too quick with this. If you're looking to see what's inside the decks, I'm just going to slowly plop through them as we go. Plop through them like having a poo. Don't know why I said that. Plop sounds like having a poo. Anyway, fortnightfication is shallow, where like Marvel vs. Capcom or Super Smash Brothers or this, I think is less fortnightfication. It's more genuine crossover where 2 things have, like, you know, links or related audiences, and those people can enjoy it, or people who have considered getting into one or the other end up getting into the other. In the case of this fucking nerd here, I just think that, I don't know, I think fortnightfication is very unfair for the actual depth and like detail and understanding that goes into this. Like, there are literally, it's not quite 400, but it's close. There's like almost 400 unique arts made for this set, where art directors have looked at a property like Doctor Who and then taken to real painters to create those artworks. That alone already trumps by a million miles what the idea of like fortnightfication would be, where you, of course, there's artistry involved. I'm not saying someone who builds the character, model of the character in Fortnite isn't creating a piece of art there, but it's not quite on the level or the scale that we're seeing with this stuff here, where every single card, if you didn't know, every single card has been reskinned, both the reprints and the new stuff, to fit in with Doctor Who. And some of them, like the command towers, they show you the inside of the TARDIS from different eras because of the decks. It's crazy the amount of depth and love and just blood, sweat and tears that's been poured into a product like this, that Gavin Verhey led, and I think he deserves a lot of props for doing this. But the rest of the team too, which I'm going to actually look it up right now. I've got it in my notes. I did make some notes for this video. Tokens are sweet here too, like aliens, clues, Mark of the Ran-Eyed Cybermen, and some prompts. They're all double-sided, Daleks on the back. The villain deck is so sweet. It's really fun. I love that all the decks play so differently as well. That's a common through line in all the precons. That's not unique to Doctor Who, but it's testament to the fact that they are functioning and strong and interesting Magic. Something I find really interesting, by the way, is that these dice don't have any Doctor Who iconography on them at all. They are simply the Magic logo, the Chaos logo, and then like some cool glitter effect to make it look like space. Interesting. So now we're on to the 13th Doctor. For plane chase environments, we've got the Doctor's Childhood Barn, Storm Cage Containment Facility, the Drum Mining Facility, Singing Towers of Delirium, or Darvilium, sorry, Fixed Point in Time, Besieged Viking Village, North Pole Research Base, Temple of Atropos, Kablam Warehouse, and the Dining Car. Again, not any episodes that I've seen. The deck we're doing last, Timey Wimey, is the one that I kind of understand now. And our promos are, Extended Border Davros, and Foil the Rani. That's cool. Interesting they came in the non-villain deck. If I'd opened the villain deck, I would have thought that everything I get in these would be from the same deck, but they're obviously not. But interesting, I think. So Chris Mooney, Carmen Comparins, Elizabeth Rice, Jess Dunks, and Trick Jarrett all worked on this too. And the reason I want to make a note of that and mention it in this video is because as much as I love Gavin, a lot of people are saying this is his baby, and it is his baby. He was the lead on it, right? But like, there were other people that poured blood, sweat, and tears, and just effort and time and energy and care into this. And I think it's so fucking unfair to call it Fortnitification for that reason. This deck is all the new stuff, and by all the new stuff I mean the 11th and 13th Doctor. So we've got 13th Doctor and Yasmin Khan. I've seen one episode of this so far, so I know who Yasmin Khan is. So all the stuff in here is from their episodes. Decaying Tie Loops, a cool card. Discard your hand and draw that many cards with the retrace. Truth or Consequences are 4 mana. Each player secretly votes for truth or consequence. Then those votes are revealed. You draw cards equal to the number of truth votes, and then choose an opponent at random, and that player takes 3 damage for each consequence vote. I love this. I love the political aspect of Commander. I love to see that in these decks too. But again, we've got like Ponder reprinted with a D&D then, Doctor Who art, Think Twice with Doctor Who art, Preordain with a Doctor Who art, Throes of Chaos with a Doctor Who art, Cultivate with a Doctor Who art. I'm not going to say it's a very card, but I love this. I can't wait to see it with Fallout. I guess the point we can discuss is how there is like 40 plus new cards per deck, and that is a lot. We saw that with Warhammer 2. It's not unique to Doctor Who. That happened with Warhammer. Personally, I love it because it allows them to spend a lot of time, a lot of space. Time and space, what are they if not one and the same? A lot of time and space, like engaging with the property and showing us like an understanding of it and like some not world building but world exploration through the medium of like card design and mechanics. I think that's wonderful. The Fortnitification aspect that I talked about earlier, the simple like surface level stuff, I would argue that a lot of the not the Walking Dead, a lot of the secret layers are like that. Just getting 4 references and you're like, I get that reference, isn't quite a mechanical pile of pieces that works together to sort of like evoke ideas of time travel and the manipulation of like dimensional space. Like these decks have things where like you can draw from the bottom of your deck with River Song once you've cascaded to the bottom of it, so she loosely knows the future, which I think is like a really cool idea. It evokes that idea of time travel and seeing the future. Even the villain deck that doesn't play with exile as much, doesn't feel as intricate and tricksy, is all about like villainous choices and myriad, and a bit of skulk as well. All things that I think we haven't explored enough in the Commander products up to now. I do think there's an element of with some of these decks, like Clara Oswald is probably better than most of the companions. So every time we have that conversation about which one should I play, Carpet of Flowers reprint. Which one should I play? You probably end up on Clara a lot of the time unless you're in CDH. Oh, wow. 2 of the decks have Wattle Groves. Interesting. Yeah, so some of the cards are a little bit more powerful than others and push the power level. I guess the decks in general push the power level of the Commander a little bit. We saw this with Warhammer 2, another Fiery Islet. They pushed the power level of Commander quite generally. Like, people really wanted to see or get hold of a lot of those Necron cards because they're better than most mono black or artifact cards out there. I think that's just the case when you get a load of designers that wants to design for exclusively into Commander. This is an ongoing problem in Magic in a sense, right? And they're trying to make those things interesting. They're going to be better than a lot of the old stuff that wasn't designed specifically Commander and wasn't interesting. It is an issue that I think we need to be aware of in Magic, because obviously the complexity creep and the design for Commander creep has meant that Commander doesn't look anything like it used to 10 years ago. And old men like me have to get used to that. But also, it means, with the 8th Doctor and into the Time Vortex, oh, sick. Look at that. Move all the fucking reminder text. That's a sick way to do it. You have to search for that now. Yes, it's not inherently bad to change things, right? Even if an old boomer like me complains. I do think it's sad when like old cards just don't see much play anymore because everything is designed for Commander the last 5 years. Like, what does Commander look like in another 5 years? Where I guess in a long enough time when that causes some homogenization, I guess. Lux Foundation Library. Lake Silencio, Amy's House, Ood Sphere, Human Time Lord Metacrisis, Bad Wolf Bay, Two Streams Facility, Prime Minister's Cabinet Room, I've seen that episode, New York, I've seen that episode, and Pompeii, I'm aware of that episode. Hooray! We're getting into the bits that I understand. And this is one final issue linked to all of that as they print more and more powerful cards into Commander that will come through things like Unverses Beyond. The question is, 13th Doctor looks almost dusty. The question is, how often can they reprint these things? Like, we have the Kellamorph, right? The Pingy Commander with the guns, the 4 guns from the Warhammer decks. And that card is now like one of the most expensive cards from those decks. And it can't be reprinted in its current form because Tyranid is a copyrightable thing from Games Workshop. So we now need to have like a reskinned version with a different creature type. And it gets very messy as Wizards try to reprint it. On the upside, a lot of the powerful stuff in here, not including the Cyberman, removals pack, that's Cyberman written on it, but like Everybody Lives, for example, those cards that might end up being worth money in time to come, those cards can be reprinted because they aren't like specific to Doctor Who. Meanwhile, the 10th Doctor or the 9th Doctor or whatever, I don't know how often we're going to get to reprint those. That's Everybody Lives, that's what I was talking about. If at all, right? Everything Comes to Us, that's the end of the last episode of Eccleston's run. But yeah, how we can't reprint these. So that's another issue where we have these cards that are like populating the format and becoming stronger and stronger just through the iteration of having to be unique and interesting compared to previous versions of cards. Like, for example, a legendary Stuffy Doll that's on like a Donna Noble. Can't reprint Donna Noble down the line because you can reprint a different Stuffy Doll. But then if you're reprinting sideways to it to try and reprint a different version of that card, like the Kellamorph, for example, you now have access to 2 versions of that card. One will probably be better than the other in some capacity. It's hard to design truly like on 2 parallel lines where one isn't better than the other, but that doesn't seem like a good answer either. There's the War Doctor, and that's one of the ones that I'm definitely building. Anyway, these are just some thoughts I've been having. I'm an example of coming around to this. I was very negative about Walking Dead when it first came out. Primarily mechanically unique in a Secret Lair does piss me off. But like just doing the Walking Dead first time around was gonna piss off a lot of people. And then beyond that, I think the other reason that like I struggled with it was because we jumped the shark real quick. We got to Fortnite in like less than a year. And my reaction on stream to Fortnite was just like a scream. I didn't scream, but I jokingly just like prolonged a no as I sunk into my chair. Fast forward 2 or 3 months, I was playing Fortnite because I thought I'd give it a go. Magic encouraged me to try it, and I've really enjoyed it. Fortnite is a bit cringe, though. There's just no escaping that there isn't a cringe element to Fortnite, but sometimes cringe is good. Like, sometimes just engaging with the cringe and embracing it is the only thing you can do. But what was my original point before I got more rambly? This is such a rambly video. I hope you're enjoying it. I think that they've really fucked it on the introduction, and some people are stuck on that. There's a portion of the Magic community that cannot accept the idea that they might have been either wrong, which I'm more than willing to accept. I love being wrong, because often when I'm being doom and gloom, being wrong means things are not as bad as they first look. But also, like, no one's willing to change or grow or evolve or adapt their opinion as time goes on. Like, formats change and cards change their playability in terms of, like, what's good and what's not in Magic, to use a Magic phrase, but also the adiposes are cute, I guess. The other element is, like, times change and products can get better or get worse as Wizards listen to the audience and change what they're doing. And I think they've done that. I think these decks are so much better than what we were seeing with most of the Secret Lairs. I've just bought the Evil Dead Secret Lair because I'm a whore, but I think that one was a real big whiff. I think there's almost a quality disparity between what we're seeing in Secret Lairs and what we're seeing in the Unverses Beyond Commander product. Anyway, there was me rambling. As I open these up, I'm going to sleeve these now and take them to the game store and play with them, because that's the other bit we haven't talked about, I guess. All the decks are fucking sweet to play with. And I love this interactive interconnectability and the cross-compatibility of having a board game environment of 4 decks. I've got the Warhammer board game environment of 4 decks, and now 2 of the Doctors can go up against the Imperium of Man and the Necron Dynasties, and it's just sick. Basically what I'm saying, isn't Magic great? Anyway, feel free to give me a load of shit in the comment section about how I rambled this video, but that is kind of what's happening. Multitasking is not my strong point. And also just how much of a shill I am now for doing a little paid gig about these decks. I did it for Warhammer too, and then talking about how much I like them. I'm not saying this because I got to be in a Wizards promo thing. I'm saying this because I genuinely think these are great. And I really wish that the players that had reacted very negatively to Walking Dead for many a good reason would just put their fucking pitchforks down and give it another go at reassessing where we're at. I do understand that the sanctity of Magic is at stake for some of you. But also, I guess this is my final note. I was signing off and I haven't finished. Like, Magic's going nowhere. We just had the penultimate arc of one of the biggest storylines in years, with things that were set up like 10 years prior with the Phyrexians. Like, Magic isn't gone. We are in a weird story hiatus moment, and we're seeing more Universes Beyond than ever, so it might look that way, but I don't believe that is that way. We're going to see the Planeswalkers, the Gatewatch, the Phyrexians, Nicol Bolas, and the Eldrazi again. I will guarantee. I'd bet money on it. I'm not going to, I don't like gambling that much, but I would bet money on it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'm off to the game store to play some Plane Chase Doctor Who Commander now. I would not have imagined that would be a sentence I'd say out loud, even 3 years ago. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Ta for now.